welcome back. Here we are again, Weeks Ahead AI. This is Brad. We got Mitch. Where's Terry?
Who's Terry?
Who is Terry? Terry, I hope you're having a good time in the Virgin Islands. Well, filling in for Terry today, we're really excited. We've got Jeff Petersen here with us today. Jeff is a senior digital manager, and he does a lot more than that. He's working with a lot of small businesses to help them build systems, kind of save time, not just look fancy, doing a lot of AI stuff, a lot of automation, and that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today is, how we can take some of this busy work and have it run and go on without you, or without us bogging down in it. So
let's go.
We're excited to have you, Jeff.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
Appreciate the opportunity. This is like genuinely fun stuff to talk about. I get excited when I get to just have a platform to kind of vamp on some of this. So
that's how we feel too.
And you can help some people.
Yeah. Glad to have you here. So why don't we just start kind of maybe a little more intro in what you're doing and what you're thinking about, and then we'll jump into our topic here.
Yeah, absolutely. So my career, I've been a bit of a nomad. I started my career doing, retail management, managing technical support teams, and then that actually transitioned into a career in training. And I got really, really fascinated with the idea of corporate training and corporate development. And long story short is that kind of propelled me into a career in sales for a marketing agency. Got really obsessed with both sales and marketing. That was also my first introduction to what AI was becoming, even though that was several years ago. And as I have progressed through my career, I've actually gone full circle, and I am a digital marketing manager doing AI personalization, seeing if we can create more personalized experiences for customers who visit the website or who are, exploring upgrades, things of that nature. How can AI improve the journey for those existing customers? And then something I'm really becoming passionate about in addition to that is consulting with small business owners. I feel like I am doing just as much. I wouldn't even call it education because I think AI is on people's minds right now.
Yeah.
I feel like what I do a lot of is just sort of help them understand AI, the benefit, as much as AI, the tool. A lot of people hear AI. I don't know that we could get a consistent definition if you asked 5 or 6 people what is AI. And so it's equal parts that, but also showing them this is how you can practically apply it to your business and achieve, significant results and get time back. It's really exciting conversations.
Cool. Maybe you can mute your computer there, Mitch.
Terry, even when we don't invite him, he's
still finding a way. Well, hey, I think
that was actually me having a good idea.
There you go. I got an idea. I like it. Well, I think we've all suffered from, in whatever job or business we have, of just these mundane tasks of things that have to be done over and over. And it's like, you have to spend time doing it, but it's like, gosh, this is so annoying to keep doing this over. And now all of us are kind of, we're seeing, different people post or talk about, this, I'm automating this, I'm automating that. And it's like, is it really working or is it not? And so that's what we want to talk about today. And so I guess backing up just a second, Jeff, when people say AI, and what do they think they mean? And what do you think, how do you see them actually using it kind of from your experience with small businesses?
Yeah, I think if you've ever opened a GPS app on your phone, you've been using artificial intelligence for a long time. AI has existed in one form or another for years and years and years. I think what has really gotten people excited is the advancement of large language models specifically. Right. So when I say LLMs, I'm thinking, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini.
Which one's your favorite?
No, I look at them as
one word.
No, it's
no.
This is no. This is, I think, one of the most exciting conversations that we have is because we do see. I want business owners to see AI as a team member, and it's so funny. Just like human team members, these LLMs, they have their own quirks, their own characteristics, their own strengths and weaknesses, and I can't pick one because I have different tasks. If I want something more conversational, I'll go to ChatGPT. If I need help building something, like from a code standpoint, I love using Claude and their Opus model.
Right.
Gemini's Canvas tool is incredible for like quick app development. And I'm not opposed to even like pitting them against each other. They'll get really competitive and passive aggressive. I'll say, hey, this is what Claude came up with. I mean, what would you do? You see any issues with this? And
More better.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, cool. Yeah, no, that helps. And so, like, I mean, you've talked about the LLMs, and so workflow automation,
Yeah.
and things, tools like Zapier. I mean, how are those the same or different? I mean, talk.
Yeah.
about
So
kinda-
without, we have the benefit of talking to somebody, me, who's not, I was not a coder before I got into AI. And so I'm going to explain these things, and you have the benefit listening at home of knowing you're not talking or listening to an expert.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try and explain it in the way that I understand it.
An expert in coding.
An expert in
But you're
coding.
an
Yeah,
expert
fair
in
enough.
Systems, process, and automation.
Fair enough. But what has been really interesting for me is, as this evolution of AI has come into the forefront, something similar, there's been a similar innovation around something called LangChain, which is essentially this Python code-based infrastructure that has been able to sort of serve as this, I don't know, I think of it as kind of a plumbing system for these more advanced potential kind of automation systems. What if we could take the benefits of generative AI, plug it into this infrastructure of code, and automate things that we couldn't do before? Now, there are companies that have already been doing that. I'm sure you're already thinking of like Zapier. So Zapier is somebody who has been doing the automation and web call based game for a long time. But where generative AI comes in is that it is providing a logic and a reasoning and a human component that didn't exist before. So we're able to combine the technology that Zapier has been able to initiate for years, this idea of web calls, communications between different programs, but we're able to introduce through like prompt engineering this logic and reasoning that can help more complicated processes run on their own. And that has been kind of at the crux of what we're doing with this little consultancy we're called Good Help. And our goal is to essentially help people understand, okay, what are the systems you're using? How open are these systems? And how can we use generative AI to make these systems run better? That's the beauty of what we get to do, is we get to be consultants, not software salesmen. We want to help people use the tools that they're already using without having to add more functionality and more cost.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mitch, you've been playing around a lot in this as well. I mean, what was kind of your first experience, or maybe some recent experiences you've had where you've kind of been messing around with automation of AI, and kind of what successes and maybe frustrations have you had on that front?
The most recent one was taking my Plod device and then just how I describe the conversation, saving it to the appropriate file in my Google Drive.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have to go to Plod anymore to go find the file afterwards and reference it. It's in my Google Drive. And then if I'm working with an LLM and I had a conversation with a customer about this, I want to see what it is, I can get to it really quickly. And that's really more automation than it is AI, because it was just removing the spaces and the commas and the periods. I think from an AI standpoint would be our scheduling with our dumpster business.
Yeah.
So we actually have it reading and parsing emails and using logic within our CRM to assign it to the right spot. So that one's been really cool.
And that
65 more steps than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Because you would think it would be like 8 or 9.
So which tools did you use for each of those?
I used Zapier for the Plod.
Plod, yeah.
And then I used make.com for the dumpster agent. And then I've got an N8 N1 that's helping do content for a podcast for the wife.
Gotcha. Cool.
I'm curious, just to pull on that thread, what's been your experience working with N8N and Make.com. I'm curious, is there a reason you'd use one over the other, or do you have a preference for one?
Yeah, the Make.com was kind of brought to me,
Mhm.
and it was, hey, we're building this, so we hired someone to build it, and then Zapier was just, it's been around forever.
Yeah.
I've used it in the past for even simpler stuff than what we're doing now, and then N8N to me was, Zapier's break,
Mm-hmm.
and Make.com. I actually don't love the interface very much.
Really? Okay. That's what their bread and butter is supposedly. So that's interesting to hear.
To me, it's almost, I just don't like it
Yeah.
as much. And N8N, I think I've gotten used to drawing the diagrams
Mhm.
and using the workflows. Like, what was it? What's the one we used a lot to do the process mapping? Lucid charts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so to me, N8N feels very similar to like a
Super-
Lucid
it's
chart.
flow
So
chart,
like
yeah.
it flows. To me, it's way easier to follow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also cheaper.
Yeah.
The calls on N8N are,
Well, and N8N is open source, so
Yeah.
you could host it for free if you wanted to, and you get all the functionality. So I'm a bit partial towards N8N too.
That's
I
your
was curious.
favorite tool on that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually love Make's interface, but it's actually it's just a more limited functionality. Not by much. I don't want to dog on Make, but Make has made a very conscious decision to be a SaaS product, a monthly paid access, and with that there are certain benefits you get. I think it's a beautiful looking product. It's pretty intuitive to use, but there is a certain under the hood aspect that you just don't get with Make, but you do get with N8N. There's just almost a limitless amount of customization you can do when you're automating on N8N.
so you know what it is with Make.com that doesn't hit with me? I'm colorblind.
Are you
And so
really?
Make.com, it's like everything's a different color. And so they lean on the color as opposed to like what the actual automation tool is. So you've got to know what the icon and so like I look at it, I'm like, I don't know if that's red or
Don't you have
purple or
special
green.
glasses for that?
I do, but they work mainly outside.
Oh, okay.
So you gotta have really bright sunlight.
Mitch,
for
that is fascinating. I had not even considered that. It is incredibly color coded.
Yeah, and we're a heavily scrutinized section of the population. No one cares about us.
No, I'm sorry, Mitch.
I don't know if Brad's shirt's blue or purple.
I'm sorry for your handicap.
Yeah, that's what it
You've
is.
got more than one, but I'm really sorry about that one.
Look at us just doing the work here. I'm just
right.
really advocating for a community that's
That's right.
underappreciated. I like that. Yeah.
We'll
I've
spawn
got a
that off.
GoFundMe.
Well, Jeff, so we've talked Make.com, Zapier, N8N. I haven't heard us talk about Microsoft's tools, Power Automate, or whatever tools they may have. Is that? I mean, I played around with it, didn't have a great experience. But
Yeah, I think that if you are inside of Microsoft's ecosystem as an organization, there are worse things that you could do than to mess around with Copilot. I just don't have much to say about Copilot because I don't find it to be inferior. I just don't find it to be particularly remarkable.
at any good, you talked about earlier, some of these are better things, but that one just is like.
Yeah, I'll be
It can
honest.
do some stuff, but it's not better at any of these others.
I agree. I'll go to Grok before I go to Copilot, just because of the ease of access. Grok is always thorough, even if it's nothing else.
Muy
And-
thorough.
Always thorough.
It's always thorough.
That even came out in Spanish. Muy thorough. I don't know where that came from.
TLDR.
But no, and we can't forget though that Microsoft's it's got its its wallet and plenty of other places.
Sure.
Even if Copilot doesn't pan out, it's got a healthy investment in chat. So
Well, so is it safe to kind of break it down a little bit this way? Automation is really more of kind of giving instructions. If this, then that.
exactly.
Right.
So
Whereas the more AI, LLM, kind of generative AI is just it's really reasoning and processing based on what's happened, not because you've given it instructions, but because of its broader knowledge.
I think that's a perfect distinction to make. So when we're talking about implementing potential solutions for small businesses, we're really there's two sides of the coin. There's what we call automation and what we call sort of agentic AI, and that's the biggest key. Is with automations, there are really complex automations that you can develop that require no prompt whatsoever for an LLM to have to process. It is very much sort of this then that. What's the Rube Goldberg, the mousetrap, you start one thing and it initiates a series of events. And then when you get on the agentic side, that's where you are introducing one of the LLM models to intake that information and make specific decisions based on, the logic and the guardrails that you have typed and put into place.
Yeah.
And that's where you use N8N a lot so that you can take the LLM, utilize it, pull in other tools so the agentic to you is like it's doing, it's not just thinking.
Yes, I would say that is one of my favorite things about N8N is because it does both quite effectively. I can build really complex automations, multi-step automations with no prompting or logic. But if I do need to build a prompt or logic, N8N has several different ways to leverage LLMs. It can be as simple as just one node that just says agent, and then I give it all of these tools. And I've been really impressed with the results of its ability to look and think and make the right decisions. Or if I want to give it a little bit more guardrails, I can just do a model node to where it's just talking to N8N or talking to OpenAI, getting a response, parsing that information. There's just several ways to leverage both agentic and automation with N8N. No free ads. That's the kind of functionality that I really like the most about it.
Well, it gets exciting. If I could jump in
Yeah,
real quick,
go ahead.
it gets exciting to want to go build something like that. But what I've noticed is it looks really simple at first,
Mm-hmm.
and then 50 hours later, you realize it would have been really cool to just find a guy to create the product.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because a normal person versus you said, hey, create something that's just going to scrape my calendar and give me a preview of all the people that I'm meeting with tomorrow. You could do that in a couple hours, I assume.
I think, but it was born from a lot of trial and error.
Now you can do it for a couple hours. But
Exactly.
If someone's just stepping into it.
One of the biggest things you realize is
It'd
that
take them days, and they'd probably get frustrated and give up at some point. I think that's where I'd be.
Yeah.
You
you make enough of these in N8N, you start to unintentionally you create these templates in certain aspects. There's a lot of plug and play. I look at it as sort of I'm building these little Lego bricks, and everybody has a distinct sort of build, but I'm using blocks that can be leveraged in different models. The biggest, I think, realization that comes when you get into this is that these LLMs will help you code a little bit, but they won't give you like turnkey. If you don't have a practical or even a foundational knowledge of like JSON and SQL and JavaScript, you will find that sometimes Claude and OpenAI will just take you in circles. If you are just input, output, give me code for this, give me code for this. And that is where you start to get into, that's where I think make.com is a better resource because they do a lot of that. They do a lot of that work for you, whereas N8N is a bit more of a developer's sandbox. There is some coding required, but that's the frustrating part. Is if you don't know how to code, we're not quite there yet. We're not quite there to where I can not know how to code and have a really easy time building some of these things. It's still a process.
So make.com more of a WordPress or a Shopify type website.
Yeah, I see Make as more of a direct competitor to the Zapier. Like I need to connect this to that as quickly as possible, and I need it to do this. From an automation standpoint, I think Make is pretty powerful.
That's awesome.
Cool. Well, I want to come back to that topic in a second about how complex maybe this seems to kind of beginners like myself. But before we do that, let's talk about your perspective. What types of things should people or organizations or businesses be thinking, I shouldn't be doing this anymore. I need to automate this, or I need to get AI's help to do this. What types of tasks should not be handled manually?
When we get that question inevitably, and it's almost every conversation, we typically give the same answer is, I want you to take an inventory of all your processes that are repeatable, time-consuming, error-prone, and scalable. So repeatable, time consuming, almost everybody can come up with something relatively quickly.
Right.
I think the limitation is that I don't think people understand just how powerful generative AI can be. And sometimes they almost self-deselect things in their head and don't bring them out. So the discovery process that we have with small business owners is actually pretty complicated, because I don't think they realize how much of a magic wand this is. And so we really have to do some.
They're sitting there thinking,
You're
I mean,
teaching
this is one of the things, but there's no way it can do this.
Exactly.
I mean, we've had an experience of that, and we've experienced it multiple times. But one in particular jumps out, where he's like, "There's no way it could do that," and so he wasn't even worth in his opinion, worth talking about. But you at least want to get it out there, and it's like we should at least discuss and analyze whether it's possible and whether it's worth the cost that might be associated with doing it.
Exactly. I hate going into a conversation and explaining what I do, because I have almost immediately shot myself in the foot. What I would much rather do is say, hey, I'm gonna tell you what I can do in a little bit, but first I want to know what drives you nuts.
Yeah.
Like what is the bane of your day-to-day work?
Yeah.
What are the tasks that you wish you could offload? If you had to hire somebody, what would you want them to do? And really try and get them talking about their business and not trying to sort of funnel it through what they think I can do.
Yeah.
We've really, like I said, shot ourselves in the foot when we go in and we start talking about how exciting AI is because it is almost like putting guardrails into place that don't exist. But that's ultimately, to get back to just sort of that criteria, it's sort of what is repeatable and time consuming, but the scalability is really important too, because at the end of the day, it needs to be able to compound.
Okay.
So I'm going to do this task X amount of times each week. That's important. And so I'll give you an example of scalability, like any sort of like chat bot that can intake lead information.
Right.
Every time that happens, that's saving a phone call. And no matter how many phone calls you're saving, you don't have to augment or maintain that. It's pretty great right out of the box. It's pretty minimal maintenance. That's a scalable automation. So something that can actually exponentially save time over a long period of time. That's kind of the big part. But other than that, that's what we ask. It's what's repeatable, what's prone to error, what's time consuming, and then we sort of solve for ourselves. Okay, this is pretty scalable. This is something that can grow with the business.
So you gave one example, the chat bot. Any other kind of that come to the top of your mind, kind of starter wins, like kind of low hanging fruit opportunities?
I think any kind of chatbot that can be embedded on your website. So I think an FAQ bot, for instance, is it's the easiest and most valuable thing that you could do for your website. I know a lot of people may think that web chat bots are useless because they don't use them when they go on their website, but you'd be amazed how many people will leverage a chatbot if they have a question. And these can be incredibly custom. Yeah. We can make it to where you're talking to like a duplicate of Brad or a duplicate of Mitch. We can,
I think, and I've been there, and I'm still there. I don't know that I've used a chatbot on a website more than maybe 3 times in my life. And so, but I'm starting to think about it more because of my experience primarily with these LLMs. And I use ChatGPT a lot. So if it's anything like that experience, which why wouldn't it be, perhaps, then I think it would be amazing. And I might prefer it over talking to a human because I think it might actually be better.
You can tell. I use one all the time. We use Just Call to do phone calls through our CRM. Well, anytime I'm trying to set up a new integration in Monday, I'll actually use Just Call. Because Monday doesn't have a live agent to help you with stuff. I will actually call Just Call's AI agent and say, I'm having trouble setting this up in Monday. What do you recommend? And it's got the entire Monday like FAQs, how to build it. And it'll just talk to me like a person, and I'll go build something, and I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Wow.
And it's advanced enough to where it knows when it's been asked something it can't answer.
And it's fast.
And it can very elegantly transition better than, or as good as any of the other sort of pre-built chat agents. So
Yeah.
that's always the first thing I recommend is,
Okay.
what can we fix on, what can somebody take off your plate for the people that visit your website?
That's cool.
And then I'll go to sort of the other side of the coin, which is really sort of the aspirational side. Like what do you wish you had time for?
Right.
And almost everything that comes up, I said that wrong. What comes up almost every time is some aspect of social media content. And it's something that people don't want to do. It's not second nature to them, and it's always the last thing they put off because the ROI isn't immediate. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, one of the best tools that you have at your disposal is the free impressions you get
Yeah.
when you post on social media to an audience that knows who you are. And so that's the other side. So not necessarily like immediate ROI, but what if we could take something that you've always wanted to do, take it completely off your plate? And I mean completely. Like social media content generation, it's very, very easy to do. It's easy to make it sound authentic. Doesn't mean people do it right, but there are ways to make that not just a automation, but something that is really a representation of your organization and of you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is a powerful tool, and I've seen Mitch do some of that stuff, and it is mind blowing. Just the way it'll just pick up on this, and even preparing for today. I mean, and this wasn't automated, but I mean, I just put in a couple of things that we talked about, a couple ideas we had, and we've got a whole show, programmed out. It's like,
And not only that, Brad, those were really good questions that you put in the docket. I'm like, oh yeah, like this is exactly what I want to talk
I'd
about.
love to claim those
Yeah.
questions, but we all know that I didn't, and that's okay. That's okay. We're now having a real discussion.
That's the
about it,
other good part about generative AIs. You get to say, this is my outline. I made it.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
I
You don't-
made-
you
yeah,
don't-
I mean,
you never have to give ChatGPT
Co-author.
credit.
I mean, you paid for the tokens.
yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
Well, so how do you, when you're talking to small businesses that maybe, okay, now you've identified something or one or two tools, how do you help them analyze? Obviously, you're going to give them a proposal to say, this
Yeah.
is going to cost this much. How do you help them analyze what's worth spending money on?
Yeah,
or
so-
where the return, their ROI is.
Yeah, we've got a rubric that we kind of run everything through. It's both internal and external. Like we don't mind, working live with clients, but it's something that we kind of committed to implementing internally as we sort of talk about potential projects. But the five criteria that we run things through are impact, growth, effort, risk, and value. And I know that those all just sounded really samey, so I'll run through them real quick. So
Very generic.
Yeah, no,
No.
very generic. But impact is ultimately what is kind of the quantitative measure of what this automation or agent will do. That's where we get the most sort of data oriented. This is the ROI. I think we have to sort of get people to buy in sometimes to the ROI of time. A lot of people say that they value their time, but they don't necessarily value it as much as, what it might cost to invest in something to give that time back.
Insert commentary here.
Yeah.
I think people say they value their time and they want to free up their time, but I think they're also deep down, they're scared of what they would do with that time,
Yeah.
or they wouldn't know what to do with that time. If I don't have 3 hours a day that I have to do busy work, what am I going to do with that time? And deep down, they might be a little scared
It's
of
a
that.
great crutch.
Yeah, it is.
It really is. And at the end of the day, they probably value money more. And so that's always an interesting conversation to have. So, impact sometimes it can be fiscal, it can be monetary, but sometimes it's sort of, hey, what is this worth to you to have, 2 to 3 hours back in your week? And then growth is kind of that scalability piece that we talked with. Is this something that's solving a problem right now, or is this something that is addressing something that can help your business grow over time? And then, effort is just sort of, it's not just automations and agents, those are a very collaborative process. Oftentimes we're white labeling, we're implementing something that's behind their, firewall, their self-hosting. It's a very collaborative experience. It requires a lot of back and forth, a lot of testing, and we really want to make sure that we're building something that is worth the investment of time to put into place, because that's the biggest drawback about automations and workflows. You gain benefit almost everywhere else, but at the end of the day, a SaaS product is ready to use out of the box, and you get, onboarding, support. You get the works as a member or a subscriber of a SaaS product. This has much more of a time investment on the front end. So impact, growth, lift, obviously cost, value, is the ROI sufficient to the cost of the implementation of this automation? And then something, Mitch, you and I were talking about before is risk. What considerations need to be taken before we implement something like this? How can this go wrong? If this messes up and causes, X, Y, or Z, are we capable of mitigating that potential loss, things of that nature? We have a lot of guardrails in place when it comes to the testing phase to try and avoid that. But at the end of the day, just like there's a certain component of risk in hiring a new teammate to take something off your plate, there's a certain component of risk that you have to take into account when you are, putting something onto an agent's plate.
Yeah.
I've got a two-part question. Part one, and when we met a month or two ago, you kind of gave, and if you're comfortable, just, hey, for what we do, a general price range is this, and our average price to build a tool like that is this. Are you comfortable kind of?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think of kind of pre-built versus custom. I think that there are certain automations that are 80% ready to roll. It just needs some level of customization. Usually for something like that, we are charging something in the range of $750 to $1,000.
Okay.
Now let's talk about agents or something that's a bit more complex. I'll give you an example.
So I'm sorry, for $750 to $1,000. What? Maybe.
Yeah.
That's a good example.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll give you an example. So I want even an agentic automation. I want something that will go and scrape news headlines and will give me 4 or 5 thought leadership topics, write an Instagram, LinkedIn, and X post, and deliver those to my inbox each morning.
Wow.
That's an easy automation.
Okay. So I pay you $750 to $1,000. You build that, and I can use that every day for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Now the great part is,
Pretty cool.
the great part is that there's so much more. Let's say that you need, that's an automation that can operate on a schedule.
Yeah.
Let's say that I want something that's like chat based, where I can feed it something and it can give me a response. Well, that one social media automation could become part of a marketing agent. So let's say you want to build an agent that can replace your entire marketing team. Well, social media is just one component. So we could build something that says, when you want to say, hey, we're launching this product, we need to execute a campaign. Well, then that single automation becomes inferior. It becomes a part of a larger sort of system. Yeah. And that's where our custom builds come into place. Okay. And those can range. A lot of it depends on how many prompts we need to implement through the process, how much maintenance is required for those prompts, how many API calls are we doing, how many what research is involved in figuring all of that out. And that typically the median price is somewhere between $3,000 and $7,000, but I could see it getting up to 15, 20. And then beyond that, it's really just a question of, do you want to own this, or do you want us to maintain it as sort of an agency, And so that's the second part of the cost conversation is, hey, we can
ongoing maintenance.
Yeah, we can put it in your system. We can teach you how to use it. We'll give you all the, training and onboarding hours you want. And then you can run with it, and we can come in, on an hourly basis when you need us. Or the other side to that is we can host it, and we can ensure that it's maintained on a day-to-day basis. And so some people want to own it. Some people
Until it breaks.
They think
until
they
it
wanna own
breaks.
it.
Yeah. Some people sort of see this as like a marketing agency. I hire a marketing agency because I know I could do marketing if I wanted to, but I don't want to.
I don't really have the skill set.
Yeah, or the time. And so there are people that are going to see value in just, hey, just deal with this. We'll pay each month.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of marketing agencies will charge you $5,000 a month as a retainer, and you might get 2 or 3 blogs and 10 social media posts out of it. So you're replacing a $50,000 annual budget with 10.
Exactly.
10
It's-
to 15,000. Yeah.
And next year it may cost you a little bit to host it
Mm-hmm.
and extend it, and you add a feature, but you could knock it down to 10, 15 grand a year
Yeah.
instead of 50.
So 10, 15 maybe on the front end, something more robust like that, kind of replace a marketing team. And then just on that maintenance, if they're say, yeah, hey, Jeff, please just maintain this thing, make sure it doesn't break. And
Yeah, there is nothing there are a few things I hate more than sort of the subscription economy we've become. I don't
Yeah.
love paying for something that I don't own. And so we try to be sensitive to this when it comes to that. So the first thing that we talk about with potential clients is the API costs. We
Yeah.
try to give them sort of a heads up. Like, this is kind of what you can
This
expect.
is third-party costs.
Yeah. This is what if you need to talk to OpenAI X amount of times, it's going to cost about this much. And this is like, these are pennies on the dollar. These are fractions of a cent for each interaction. And we usually just pass through those costs. We just put their payment information into place. We can add caps, guardrails, things like that. And then usually we try to operate within like the $200 to $500 a month range. And what that usually does is that's us making sure that all of those connections are active and live. If we need to do any prompt modification, if your business needs change, that's actually a fairly straightforward process for us to incorporate those changes into kind of the prompt engineering that's operating underneath these automations.
Yeah.
Our goal is really, like I said earlier, we don't want you to feel like you're paying for another tool to fix, the tools you already have. And so it's ultimately, in a lot of ways, just a bucket of support hours is what we try and
makes
position it as.
There's some maintenance that's needed because APIs break if a software program
Exactly.
has an update.
Mhm.
Then you've got to go in there, and it's a 2-minute fix, but it may take you 10 or 15 minutes to find
Yep.
it.
Passwords. There are a variety of things that can break a lot of these checkpoints for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mitch, I'm curious, based on your experience, because you've definitely got by far the most experience of our group of trying some of these automations and even building some of these more robust, AI tools. How do the pricing? I'm kind of putting both of you on the spot a little bit, but how does this pricing sound like I compared to the experience of going through it?
Go
Because to
easy on
me,
me.
it's like, hey, I wouldn't know how to do it, so I'm all in. I'm paying him to do it, but like you kind of mentioned, I told you we'd come back to this thing of this frustration of I've tried, and 3 days later I quit. Or it took me much longer than I expected.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is, it's really easy if you watch a video of someone, hey, look what I built in 10 minutes. Well, they've got passwords and accounts created, and they've already probably got some sort of code or script that's templated that they dump in there, and it's up and going. And and I've been for 9 months digging, and
Mm-hmm.
I've gone far enough now. I'm not turning back. I'm going to learn it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I want to do it for other people, because
Yeah.
it's brain surgery. And so I think I look at this as similar to the way I looked at equipment and robots in my pet food plant.
Right.
Yes, that's a $250,000 robot, but it's going to save me $750 a year.
Right.
And so when I look at a marketing agency that's probably somewhere between 36 and 50 grand a year retainer based, well, if I can take that to 12 or 15, I don't really care how much work it took him if it does and brings me the value. And it's going to bring more.
Right.
By the way, like once you build that agent, the content is almost unlimited. And as you're saying, you may pay for tokens for more generation, but if if you've built a good product and you trust AI to generate good content for you, well, generating another Facebook post is probably what, 3 cents
Mhm.
from a token standpoint versus someone charging you $35-$40 an hour for that same
Right.
post. So I look at it as like, how do I come in at 30% of what my current costs are? And if I can do that, I don't really care if Jeff makes $1 billion. I'm happy because my business just got
But
better.
how would you rather pay him than do it yourself based on your experience? I mean, you're unique. Like for me, it's a no-brainer because I wouldn't even really. I don't really know exactly where to start. I mean, I kind of do, but not really. And I know the learning curve is steep. And to what end? So I can build that, or so I can become an expert and help. Like you say, you don't want to help. You don't want to help other people. So you just love learning and this kind of stuff, and so you want to dig that time in. But for most of us, I mean, I'm thinking, man, the ROI is well worth it. Like, I don't want to try, but you're having dug in and tried it yourself. Kind of, how do you?
If I have a business that's doing well,
Yeah,
and it's making money, and I know that I could grow that business if I had tools and help, it's going to be 10 times faster to have someone else build it for you so that you can keep doing what you do really well.
yeah,
And so all day long, I would say, build it, let's go.
yeah.
I feel really passionate about the fact that I think the future of AI is, I don't know, I think one of the reasons I get so passionate about AI is I really do think that the in-demand skill set is going to be sort of the emotional intelligence piece of it. I think that AI has put us all on equal ground in a lot of ways. And there is so much to the notion of it's not just somebody that's taking it off my plate. It's somebody who maybe has the curiosity,
Yeah.
potentially the creativity or the mindset to leverage these tools in a way that produces a specific result, because you can ask the same question to OpenAI 10 times, you're going to get 10 different answers. And so there is this aspect of, boy, I'm curious, but I don't know if, they may not be able to move beyond this sort of input-output relationship with LLMs. And so a lot of times it's not just the time management or the time savings. It is sort of, I think that there really is kind of a way to leverage these tools that has just become so fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be worth everyone to learn how to use Zapier.
Right.
Like, because you're going to find ways where you could do, hey, if I could just get A to go to B, once you understand that, it's going to help you actually explain what you need to someone that's building an agent for you.
That makes
Because you
sense.
start to kind of understand the architecture and the infrastructure of it.
Yeah.
Brad, you've got 80 buildings that you manage at
Right.
some level.
Right.
And you've been on job sites long enough where you've seen enough construction happen that now when you go look at a building, you know what you want and you don't want. So I think
Yeah.
dipping your toe in the water,
That makes sense.
awesome. If you want to go build agentic stuff, just as long as you're cool with it taking 10 times longer than you think.
Well, thanks for giving an analogy that I could understand, because that makes a lot of sense to me. No, that's super helpful. We're nearing the end. I want to. I'm finding myself relying pretty heavily on ChatGPT these days in a lot of ways, including I'm not to the point where I'm storing all my documents. I mean, I'm feeding it and working with it in that, not storing everything, but maybe just a broader couple of minutes on what do you think are there dangers in being too dependent on these tools and like maybe, I mean, you could talk about the robots taking over the world. I'm not going there, but just in general, like things breaking down or man, we're going to shift from that model to this one. Or
I'm desperately searching a text thread on my phone because I just sent a colleague of mine an article that it documents sort of this long-term study that was conducted around the effects of generative AI on sort of the human brain. And I can't find it, and so I'm going to put my phone down and just try and paraphrase it.
You send me the link and we'll put it in.
The idea is that it's not good. It's taking away our ability to think critically. Now, does that mean that ChatGPT is inherently bad? No, not at all. It's a tool. Just like the internet can be a tool both for good and for bad. I would strongly recommend that we get as comfortable as possible. Gosh, I hate that I'm even saying this, talking to ChatGPT like a person. The biggest, I think, roadblock that people have that they don't realize is they treat ChatGPT as an input and an output. I give it a command, it gives me an answer. And we are so preconditioned because it's easy to take it at face value.
Yeah.
Some of my most productive sessions with ChatGPT have come from the moments where I will just simply ask, tell me why you thought that. And giving it my perspective, telling it to be honest. There are filters you can put into place that make ChatGPT more skeptical. We have to be willing to, there has to be sort of a willingness to treat it as a tool rather than just a replacement for us.
Yeah.
I think this is a big deal in marketing right now. I think the worst marketers are going to say, I can take so much content creation off my plate, and I'm just going to let ChatGPT or let my systems and AI tools do all of my content creation. And I think the best marketers are going to be, well, how can we create a more personalized brand using this as a tool? How can I augment the things that we do well?
So they spend their time maybe feeding a data pool of the ideas and the message they want to go, and then let the agent that you would build pull from that to create their brand and their voice.
Yeah.
Because, you talk about the brain getting too simplified from not doing anything. I feel like mine might actually be working harder because I actually read every response I get and then push back a little bit and say, well, what if we thought about it from this angle or this angle or this angle? And so you start to get a lot more different. You're almost creating a focus group from your chat model that you're talking with.
Yeah. One of my favorite thought leaders in the space is Josh Penzel. He has a website that's called, I think, just the6mindsets.com. And he's taking this approach of, we've got to fundamentally rethink how we adopt the right mindset for using AI in our work. And he's talking about things that nobody else is, because at the end of the day, AI is going to change. It's going to evolve. But I think the most evergreen, content that nobody's talking about right now is, how do we prepare ourselves mentally in order to engage with these new systems? And it's one of the reasons I like the work that he's doing specifically is really about how can we improve ourselves in a way that allows us to effectively harness this technology. It's really exciting.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, man, this has been informative, I think. And I know people, I got to say, I believe people listening and watching will be thinking, I got to get a hold of Jeff.
Oh, because, I hope so.
Because for $1,000, build me 3 of these things, and for $10,000 or $15,000, I'd love to see what you can do for, solve these kind of problems.
And I hope they'll reach out just to talk. This is new enough, and AI, you called it the Wild Wild West. I completely agree. Every conversation that I have teaches us something new about, the problems people are dealing with and how it sparks the creativity in us. And so even if it's just a conversation like this, I just would love to just rap with people about what they're trying to solve and how they view AI. It's just fun. It's fun for us right now.
So if you're an entrepreneur, you got a business and you're not using AI, and you had to pick one that you're going to run with for the next 3 months, which one would you use?
Which model you mean?
Which model?
Yeah.
Between Llama, Copilot. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'll give you.
Meta, yeah.
I think from a feature standpoint, Chat just has the runway. It's moving faster than anybody else. I don't like where Chat's at right now. I hate that it's kind of a brown noser. It just is really.
Yeah,
it's very biased.
It's irritating, frankly. I think that's going to get fixed, and I think it's causing a lot of people to forget that from a feature set standpoint, they're unmatched. I would actually recommend that new AI users, really new AI users, I love Perplexity for that type of use case. I love it's a search-based AI tool. Right. I love the interface. You can create, threads. I think it's a great way to sort of get started with AI in a sandbox that feels a lot like Google. I think it's a great product.
I got one more fun question.
Yeah.
Do you think you could guess within $100 how much you spend on all the various AI subscriptions that you have and that you don't know you have?
Maybe. No.
Over or under 10 different subscriptions? Personally,
you'd be
not
amazed.
for your business.
Well, I would say over, but how many of them? How many am I paying for? That not a lot. There's actually still some really, really generous free plans out there.
Yeah.
And what we're using it for, we're mostly in sort of the testing phase, so we don't.
You're just trying it out. See if is this worth really going to the.
Yeah, like what's the video like Kling AI? I have a subscription to Kling, but I won't ever need more
Is that the
than
one that did the Moses videos?
Never heard of that one. But
No.
I think it's
What did they make those on?
VO3.
VO3.
Okay, I need to
VO's
go
the
around-
big one. Yeah.
VO.
Gorilla and the Yeti.
I don't know that I can endorse Kling. I think that's one of that. I don't know a lot about that organization, and I'm pretty sure anyways. But I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of subscriptions that we don't have to pay for right now just because they're not high use.
I need an AI bot to cancel my AI subscription.
Yeah,
that I
yeah.
haven't used in 30 days.
He can build that for you.
Yeah.
What's last question before we kind of give you a shot, an opportunity to give a shout out to your company and how to get in touch with you? What is one task that you personally you're no longer doing? You've automated and it's like it was easy and you're like, man, that's been cool.
Research.
Okay.
So research is almost completely taken off my plate. I can get long form and short form summarizations of really, really competent research on just about any topic. And OpenAI, Gemini both have really, really compelling deep research features.
Yep.
You should not be wasting a ton of time going and looking for information.
So which tool did you use to kind of automate that or get that set up?
Well, a lot of it is just using an LLM node within a more like customized prompt.
Okay.
So it depends on the use case, but it's still the same LLM API, but it's just customizing a research prompt around a specific problem somebody's trying to solve.
Cool. Did you say the name of your business is Good Help, where you're helping small and medium sized businesses do automate these things, build these tools? Is that it? Good Help?
Yeah, you can go. Yeah, you can find us at goodhelpai.net. That's the name of our little operation. And any however you need to get a hold of us there, you can find us.
We will we'll put some links and information in the show notes here. But Jeff, man, it's been great having you. This has been insightful and just exciting.
Oh, it's been so cool. No.
We like talking about it too. We kind of nerd out on it. So but we've learned some things, and I think there's lots of ways that small business owners or just entrepreneur, people, everybody can kind of take back some time in their life and get some things. Maybe it's things that they're not, like you said, that I thought that was a really good comment. Like everybody knows they need to be doing some social media stuff, but it's like, they get stuck. And so what if you automated it? What if you had it just doing its thing? I mean, wow. So anyway.
I agree. Yeah, go have fun. Poke around. I like what you said, Mitch. Go see what tools you have and what are open, like what's on Zapier, like what talks to each other. If y'all are looking for somebody to follow on social media, I love the work that Nate Herk is doing, NateHerk. He's wonderful, gives so much content for free, and It's a great place to get started if you want to try fiddling around with it on your own. It's been awesome. I appreciate the opportunity, guys.
Yeah. Well, we feel like we're weeks ahead here.
I see
but
what you
now
did there.
we're a couple of more weeks ahead with your input. Jeff, you've helped us.
It's good ROI.
It's been great. Yeah. Well, maybe Terry, maybe he will listen and learn a few things. He could probably stand there. And if you forgot him again, yeah. Next episode, Terry will be back with all his adventures from his travels and tell us why he wouldn't use AI to automate that. So how about that? We're weeks ahead. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you next time.